Welcome to Who You Were with Patrick Noth and Sebastian Canelli. In each episode, we ask our guests to talk about a time in their life when they were significantly different.
Should I take my money?
Dude, I just put tons of ice in this, and look at it. It's not even hot in here.
It's not even
Wait,
hot
when did
yet.
you just put ice in that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Are my hands that hot?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been holding it the whole time?
No,
It's you. It's you.
It has to be me.
Is there another glass of water back there?
I did check to see if there's some fucking freak shit happening over here. But that's crazy.
It's those it's your hot hands, man.
Dude, your hands are hot.
I don't know why I'm looking at them like that will tell if they're hot. I should feel that. Because you can't look and see hot unless it's red hot.
Unless it's really
It's red hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough for steam.
Oh, steam. Or like with elements. If it's red hot, it turns red.
Or purple even,
Or
right?
blue.
Purple.
Blue hot.
Blue. Orange. Indigo.
I've never seen a green hot, but I imagine that's what acid is. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Acid's green hot. When acid's not hot, it's white.
Clear.
It's fucking basic as shit.
A clear acid's also bad, though, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of different cold.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not good with that. Are
What
you?
are the cold acid colors?
The cold?
Cold.
What's cold acid colored?
I think that's clear blue ice. Like I'm thinking Gatorade colors.
Okay.
To be
Okay.
honest, I'm thinking like Arctic Chill.
Or what is it? Antifreeze? That shit's blue.
Yes, but antifreeze you don't spray like a Windex bottle.
Oh, I'm like squeeging it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like antifreeze. You spray it, and then you wipe it off.
For those of you at home, Glo was just doing a spray bottle.
And I called
Yeah.
it a squeegee.
I know. Do you clean a lot?
No. I can clean. My
feel
mom
you.
owned a cleaning company when I was growing up.
That's
So
cool.
I would on the weekends help her inspect rooms or whatever.
What does that mean?
So she would have a group of illegal aliens that she'd go to hotels and they'd clean rooms for the hotel.
Yeah.
She was a contractor. And then I would go through after they would clean and be like, this room's good to go. And then
So you would just
Spot check it.
spot check it and
Yeah.
do final little things if that they didn't get to or whatever.
that's the best job.
Oh yeah, but it was exhausting when you're 14.
Sure.
And you're these grown ass women who cleaned a fucking suite in Orlando, Florida. So it was a family.
They must have hated you too because they were working their ass off, and
Oh,
here you
yeah.
come in. Boop, 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 boop.
I'm like,
No good.
come back and do it
With a
again.
Checklist. Yeah.
Literally always slurping the bottom of a Coke. So
Yeah.
you just hear the slurps out. Don't like the room.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking? This isn't clean.
And they're dripping sweat from their ass.
Oh man.
I'm like, the AC has to be on for when I go in the room.
All right, guys. Welcome to Who You Were. My name's Patrick Noth.
I'm Sebastian Canelli.
This is a podcast where we bring on comedians and we ask them to talk about a time in their life where things were significantly different. And we asked them for a before and after pictures, and we'll post it to our Instagram at Who You Were Podcast. And you can email us your before and after pictures at whoyouwerepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Sebastian, who do we got today?
You know what's so embarrassing? I just realized I don't know Glo's last name.
Wow.
I know it, but I'm afraid to pronounce it.
Oh my God. So my first name is the hard one, right? It's Glo Release. So when I moved to New York, I was like, I'm not going to teach a whole fucking city my name. I'm not going to do it. And so I shortened it to Glo. And now that my name's Glo, everyone's like, I don't know how to say Tavarez. Which is Tavarez. It's Tavarez. Or people say
it's
Tavarez.
pretty easy.
It's pretty easy. People say Tavarez, but someone was helping with a self-tape.
Mm-hmm.
And before every one, she'd be like, so it's Tavarez, right? Or is it Tavarez? Before every take, and it got to the point where I was like, now you're being offensive. It's hit diminishing returns. You can't say Tavarez. You were trying to be respectful, but now you're being offensive.
Well, I will say this. I think it's a good thing I don't know your last name, because that means I just go, oh yeah, Glo, and everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's the best.
Nobody knows my last name either.
Canelli.
Shut the fuck up.
You know why? Tremaine was like, it's not Connolly, it's Canelli. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? What are you talking about? And
All right, so this is Glo Tavarez. You know her, you love her. She's a performer at UCB's. You can see her on Lloyd Night with Fight Club. You can see her with her Improv Teed 50 Cinquenta. Also, you can see her on Maud Night with Pretty Boys. She's funny as fuck. Check her out.
Thank you.
Sebastian, that was very well done.
Thanks, besides for not knowing her
The other stuff was perfect.
Literally, when you were talking, Pat, my insides, my head dropped to my ass. It went straight past my stomach, right into my ass, because I was so stressed I didn't know your last name.
I feel like
It didn't matter.
I feel like whenever, like, even if I have a student or something like that, if I could be 90% sure on how to pronounce it, but I'm scared to do it, like, because I just feel like I should be cultured enough to know how to pronounce this last name.
You
and
know
I'm
what?
not.
I don't know how to pronounce words in books, so I feel like I'm just not good at that sometimes.
I'm a bad reader.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really bad at reading. And, you know, like, I'm on mod, and I've been, like, people are like, you gotta go to writers' meetings because that way you get put in stuff or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that's the case for me because I butcher every word.
Sure.
And there's times when, like, I'll, like, just mess up a whole sentence. They'll be like, that's not what it says at all. Because I read by shapes. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
that looks like this word.
You would have killed at hieroglyphics.
Oh, I would have killed hieroglyphics. Dude, fucking put some birds up there. I know what you're telling me.
That would
Hell
have been awesome.
So sometimes I don't, like, look at every letter, and they'll be like, Glo, what the fuck? So
Yeah.
I don't think I get parts because I can't cold read.
So don't go anymore.
So I don't go to writers' meetings.
Fuck that shit.
I do think that when actors go to writers' meetings, it does make the show better. Like, if you're listening and you're a little sketchy, it does make the show better because it, like, you can shape it towards their voice. But
Sure. They didn't like when I was at writers' meetings.
yeah,
Because I was a bad little boy. I would be making jokes about anything that didn't have to do with the sketch.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I would be bad. Whoever the director was always would have to tell me to, all right.
I mean, I get the all right too because I'm always like, oh, how about this? What if you do that? I am like, I overstep my boundaries as an actor fully.
Yeah.
Because all the actors just like are like, oh yeah, that's good. I would do this, and everyone just has like one little note, and I'm like, oh, I know what you got to do. You got to put this in. I put this in, and they're just like, okay, Glo, like I'll write it. Don't worry about it. I get very excited.
I love that.
It's so hard. It's hard to not pitch ideas when you have them. It's hard to
Of
like
course.
keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Fully.
We usually ask people before we get into it what their life is like now, besides what we know about you. Like, what else?
Yeah. So you do improv, you do sketch.
Yeah. I work at a startup,
Nice.
and I'm like a team lead, so I'm like in charge of some people, which
Yeah.
is wild.
The startup's a pretty cool company too.
Yeah, it's a kids clothing subscription box, which is a mouthful, but we sell clothes to little kids. Because I was
Yeah.
a nanny for a long time, and I like kids a lot.
What's the adult version of that?
Like Stitch Fix.
Yeah, yeah, and this is just for kids.
Yeah.
That's so nice, and it's a lot of T-shirts with action with people on them.
Yeah, we have a shirt called Club Sandwich, and it's a sandwich with glasses on it, and in the back it says Club Sandwich.
That's awesome.
That's got to be like easy for parents too. It's just like, all right,
Yes.
just like pay this amount of money or whatever, and your kids are good.
Yes, and we have our own clothing line. I think Stitch Fix, they like just buy clothes from everywhere, and that's what they sell.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stitch Fix.
But we make our own clothes. It's a cool company, and you know, being in a startup is like we're building it from the ground up, but it's hard because people really care about it. And I care. Like, I don't want the company to fail, but if it
No.
fails, I'll be like, oh, well. There's people who...
I don't want the company to fail, but if it fails, I'll be like, oh well, I don't
that's
care.
sad. I'm sorry. That really sucks for you guys. I'm going to go try to get a movie.
Sure.
Like, you know, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only, like, the culture of that. And outside of that, like, outside of comedy, what?
Well, that's already more than what I do.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my life is very much comedy. Like
But you're also like a little. You love the fantasy and the D&D. So that is who you are in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so nerdy. I guess I like.
You do the podcast. I forgot to say that she does a D&D podcast.
Yeah, second best D&D. Look it up. It's very fun. I love D&D. D&D is so fun, and I think it because I thought all improvisers would like it, but sometimes improvisers don't.
No thanks. No fucking way.
Have you ever played it, Sebastian?
You know what? I did once. Brennan Lee Mulligan made me play it. And I don't know if it was just the fact that he was controlling the whole thing that I couldn't fucking deal with, or the game.
Right.
But I imagine that every D&D pack comes with a Brennan Lee Mulligan type. Running that shit.
My Brennan Lee Mulligan, I guess, is Dave Murray. He
Yeah.
DMs so many of the games I've played.
I've never played it. I think I would probably like it. I like stupid like Risk and shit. Is it like Risk?
I like Risk too. I fuck with that on my phone.
I don't know if I've ever played Risk, so I don't know. But it's like you build a character, and this is your guy.
Okay.
For the whole time you're playing, and like the dungeon master's like, okay, so you end up at this place, and this thing is happening. Like, what do you do? And it's like that song you guys have. What do you do?
Tape Shirt Boys reference.
Tape Shirt Boys. Google the Tape Shirt Boys.
Oh God, please Google Tape Shirt Boys. And you like you use your imagination more than anything. And there's like some rules that you like apply. Like if you have an axe, you have to like roll for damage. It's like a D12 or whatever. You know, it's like it's a little complicated, but for the most part, it's just like you can do whatever you want, and you can really connect to this character and everyone in the game, and it's the best.
Now, are you acting like the character, or are you just being like, my character wants to do this?
It's a little bit of both. So my character in the podcast is basically just me. So it's me. It's just she's a little bit louder, a little bit more excitable.
Sure.
But like I have this other game where I'm like a white dude, like a rich white dude who's like, don't worry, I'll handle this, and I'll grab stuff from people and then hand it to Dave Murray to like hold or whatever. And like
awesome.
that's like every time I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll keep it safe, and then I like hand it like it's just a thing that I do, and I'm always like, I'll pay for everyone, and I like spend all my money, and then I freak out about money, and it's just like a fucking cycle that I do. That game is so stupid, but that's me. His name is Colm Sproud. And he's just the worst. I love it.
Colm Sproud.
Yeah, it's a Cole Sprouse reference.
Do you know who Cole Sprouse is?
No.
Sebastian and I don't know.
I'm instantly
much.
scared that it's a political person that I don't know.
I don't know who it is either.
Imagine, it's Cole Sprouse and Dylan Sprouse. Sweet Life, guys.
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
Yeah. But he's on
Of course.
Riverdale.
Yes. One of them's on Riverdale. I haven't watched Riverdale, but it's in my queue. I know I would love it.
Do you love trash?
I was ABC Family fucking fiend.
Oh, you gotta watch Riverdale.
Sweet Life of the American Teenage Girl. I watched Pretty Little Liars. I was a little fucking fiend for that shit. I thought it was so funny.
If you love Pretty Little Liars, you would love Riverdale.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
You're gonna get hooked. The pilot, I really truly think it's a perfect episode of television. It sets up everyone's game. First episode,
I can't wait.
Every single character, what their deal is. All the drama. You see him like go through stuff. Like it's so good. I mean, it's trash and it's really.
I love that.
Yes, it's over the top. They're all so hot. The timeline doesn't make any sense.
Yes, little fucking hotties.
Little fucking teens.
I like bad stories and hot bods. Give me a fucking forced ass line and some big ass pecs.
Oh my god, forced.
Some big ass pecs.
They're so forced.
Yeah. Give me a ton of exposition and a huge ass trap.
They're all supposed to be 15 years old, and they have references of like 40-year-old men.
Yes.
Where they're like a line that Jughead says is like, it's more like In Cold Blood and not Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I was like, what are they referencing? And then it took me a second to be like, oh, it's that guy who wrote Don Quixote. Nope.
No, Truman Capote, they're referencing. The guy who wrote Don Quixote. You know what? We're going to cut that out of the podcast for your benefit, Glo.
I don't know shit. I'm 27 and these 15-year-olds know more references than I do.
I don't think that's for the 15. I think that's for the 40-year-olds
Yes.
watching that shit.
Oh, fully. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like they all talk like that. They all talk like that. And it's like, how would you have seen this movie? You're 15.
I love that.
It's the best.
You know what's crazy is my niece, who's 13, watches a lot of like 80s movies, which is I think is awesome because I'm
Yeah.
like I hope that none of that stuff is like lost on their generation. Like we watched
think that's hip
Goonies
now.
Yeah, we watched Goonies the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, it was
That's a
fucking
great movie.
fantastic.
I've
yeah.
never seen Goonies.
Oh,
It's
go
so
home.
good. You got it.
Go home. Go home, watch it, come back. Maybe we'll let you record.
Maybe.
No, I'm so kidding.
When because I'm also Latin, like, you know, my parents are immigrants, so there's a lot of shit that like I just missed out on because while everyone was listening to like English radio, I was listening to Spanish radio.
Sure.
Yeah.
Until like I was like 10, then I was like, oh, what's this rap music people are talking about? Because my cousin from New Jersey would come and teach me shit. But for the most part, like, I don't know shit about like white culture.
Wow.
But now I do.
No, you do. Now
Now I do improv. What?
D&D and improv, and you're at a startup. You are white culture.
I did it, guys. I have white privilege. Imagine. Oh, that'd be the dream.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, let me just say about white privilege that we're sorry.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank God you guys speak for everyone.
We are the ambassadors for straight white men.
A job I wanted so bad. I was gunning for that job. I go, give it to me. Let people blame me.
You kept applying. I think I gave you a reference letter for it.
Thank you very much.
Wait, so I want to know about what era that you want to come talk to us about.
I wanted to talk about when I was 15. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Okay. Wait, were you living in New York at the time?
No, in Florida.
Okay, you were living in Florida.
Yes. It was October 30th. It was the day before Halloween.
Wait, you know the date?
Yeah, because it was the day before Halloween.
Where in Florida first?
Okay, so I'm from Central Florida, like Kissimmee, St. Cloud area.
What's the feel? Because Florida is like, it could be any, it's literally
It could
the
be
whole
anything.
United States in one state.
So St. Cloud is for sure more white and more like southern.
Yes.
And then Kissimmee is more Puerto Rican and more. It's they're different but the same. But it's more Puerto Rican, more like suburban a little bit.
Cool.
Like St. Cloud has bigger houses and the streets are all like state names, and then St. Cloud's just. I mean, like Kissimmee, but Kissimmee's also huge, so there's different areas of it. But it's that area. There's a church. It was called City of Life, but back then it was called Heartland Church, and that church was like kind of on the border of Kissimmee and St. Cloud.
Was it a big church, like a mega church?
Oh yeah, for sure, a mega church. And the reason why I remember the day too was because I went back the next day because they have this thing called Blink. Oh guys, Blink is crazy. It's like they all dress up and they do a play.
Wait, this is Halloween.
This is for Halloween?
For Halloween.
Okay, but it's called Blink.
And it's called Blink, and they do a Halloween play where they like someone dresses up as a devil, and like they'll do like we all go to a party and so drinks and so doesn't drink, and then you know like some people sin, some people don't, and then at the end of the party everyone dies and some people go to heaven.
This is insane.
And some people go to hell, and it's
my
This
God.
is fucking insane.
that's why I remember Blink.
This is already so crazy.
Were you in the play?
No, I went to watch. I was never in it, but I saw it a few
You would have
times.
slayed.
I would have been so
Fucking
funny in
crushed
Blink. But that was Blink, and it was
Wow.
like 4 or 5 different scenarios where everyone dies at the end, and then
So-
some people go to heaven,
This
some
is
people go to hell.
crazy.
These are like, have you seen the doc about like the haunted house, the Christian haunted
Yeah,
houses?
what was that? Jesus Camp or something like that? Was that
No,
it?
that's a different one. But maybe I'm wrong.
But no, I've seen the
it's
that
like,
one
it's
too.
like haunted house, and you walk through, and it's like a woman like who like got an abortion and being like, you're going to hell, like the devil coming out.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who played the devil would like wear like a full suit, and he was so scary, and like people would dress up as demons and they'd run up and down the aisles
God.
and like pull on people or whatever. And he's like, I want all of you. I'm going to take all your souls. And it's like terrifying.
This is the kind of shit that makes me more angry than like anything else. Like, it's going to be so hard for me in this episode to not like preach a little bit.
I mean, that was what they taught. But then at the end, it was very beautiful, and people would wear like, they were dressed up as angels and they had like a bunch of glitter on them, and they're like, come to heaven with us, like, we want you here.
Yeah.
Jesus loves you, that kind of stuff.
Ugh, man.
And it was like, and it's hard not to feel. It's like so hard not to feel.
Yeah,
'cause,
what
like,
were you
Of
thinking?
course.
What were you thinking while you
There
were
was so
watching that?
wonderful. It was like, such a beautiful story. There was like one where she's like, I want to go to a fortune teller, and everyone, because they went to New Orleans. And she's like, I want to go to a fortune teller. And her friends were like, don't go to a fortune teller. They're bad. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. So some of them didn't go and some of them did. And it was like scary shit, because then at the end you'd see like a demon following the girl who went to, oops, sorry, just, I wanted to start a song. Sorry, with the microphone. And so, like, the demon followed her, and, like, she was, like, sleeping in the bed, and there was, like, a demon watching her sleep. So it was, like, super scary shit. And then at the end, they all die, and the girl who's like, I'm a Christian, I'm gonna go home, I don't need a fortune teller. Of course, God's like, come with me, I love you, come into the gates of heaven. And then, like, the girl's just left there, and she's like, wait, I want to go. And they're like, you can't come. And then the devil comes and takes her. It's awful.
Oh man, this is like so.
So, yeah, I need to know a little bit before this.
Yeah.
Why did you go to? Did your family go to that church or?
No, my sister went to another church. We didn't go to church. Like, I kind of went to church when I was younger, but we weren't super religious.
Yeah.
My sister started going regularly to another church. My mom was a santera, which was like, Santeria is, you guys have heard of it.
Yeah.
So she was into
Yes, of course.
Santeria.
Sublime.
Yeah, Sublime, of course. Of course, Sublime.
You are dealing with two straight white guys.
Truly was about to make the same joke, and you got to it first.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, sorry, not sorry. Yeah, so Sublime's Santeria. She was into it.
Sorry.
Yeah, my mom was really into Sublime Santeria.
She would just play that song over and over. I was like, I gotta get to church to rid her of this demon.
I think that is where I heard Santeria first.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah, of course.
So, but that's what
When I heard that song, like, way after that song, I was like, oh my god, they're singing Santeria, that's crazy. So she was into Santeria, and it was bad. Like, I don't fuck with that. Anytime people are like, oh, like the Santeria thing, and I'm like, nope, don't fuck with it, don't bring it up, I don't want to do it.
Really? And does she still fuck with it?
No. So
Okay.
we got saved first, and then she got saved a little later.
Okay.
Because we were like, and so she, to this day, because now I'm not religious anymore because of all the backward shit that I started realizing.
Yeah.
But she's like, you're the one who brought me to Christ, and now you're not there, you know? Which is like, I feel a little bad for her, but
Sure.
Does she still go to that big church?
no, she goes to another big church that I really don't like.
Yeah.
It's so her church is, I'll just say names, I don't give a fuck. It's called El Rey Jesus, and I don't know what it's called in English.
Something with Jesus.
Something, it's like King Jesus or something. And they have one in
King.
Miami.
Wow.
It's a mega church in Miami that has like 10,000
Wow.
members. It's huge, huge, huge. And that guy, his name is like Maldonado. He's like a Trump supporter, and he told everyone in that church to vote for Trump. And
Wow.
like, he like, I think one of the Trumps went to visit the church, you know,
Sure.
like, just like evil shit. And
Who'd they get? They get Eric?
I think it was probably like Donald Jr. and I think like he fucks with the Trumps hard.
Yeah.
And he told them to like vote for it. And like my cousin voted for Trump because she goes to the one there.
Sure. So they're influenced because that's the right path is
Yeah.
Jesus, and then if they're the voice of God, this person, and they're telling me to vote for Trump, why wouldn't they? You know.
Abortion was really a big thing.
Right.
I need to know more about how you got saved.
Yeah.
Also.
So what were you up, like, you're 15, what's your group of friends like?
I had like a group of girlfriends. We would just like one of my friends was religious too, and we just laugh all day.
Sure.
I was really close to my family. I would go like on the weekend to Miami or Tampa and hang out with them.
That's beautiful.
And like around that time, I was really just like super into my family, super into my but I wasn't never a big friend person. Now you guys know me as like like someone who has a lot of like friends in UCB.
Yeah.
I always have my hands, but I wasn't a big friend person. I was mostly like just a family person. And like in school, I had friends, but I wasn't like, let's go to the movies this weekend. Like I was never that.
Sure.
What kind of music are you and your friends listening to?
When I was 15, I was in 10th grade. Man.
Before being saved. Because I know after that it was just Jesus stuff.
It was like I remember listening to Mas Flow Dos a lot, which was like a conglomerate of a bunch of reggaeton. So it was like Daddy Yankee. Even though I said I hated reggaeton, but I loved it.
Sure.
I listened to a ton of reggaeton, and I would listen to. I was like getting into like fake rock music that I thought was like edgy. For like a Latina who like had a mostly Latin school, I was like,
Sure.
yeah, I listened to Papa Roach.
Yeah,
it was like that kind of shit.
Papa
Yeah.
Roach.
It was like Papa Roach, and like I loved like Panic at the Disco.
Last resort.
Oh, for sure, I loved Last Resort. For sure, I loved like I would play Kingdom Hearts all day.
Oh my god! And what did you have like a style?
Of
Like your clothing or your hair? Did you dress like a goth a little bit? Or
like slightly, like ever so slightly,
Just a
like
touch.
just a touch
of
goth, a touch of goth, where I would like I had like one of those like mesh gloves that I'd wear.
Oh my
But
god!
then, like, just like curly hair. My hair was like super curly and long, and like, yeah, it was wild. I was like, I was, I don't know. My friend was like the ringleader. Her name was Annabelle, and she'd be like, "We're all wearing green tomorrow," and then we'd all wear green. It'd
was
be
she
like,
the religious one?
she was a religious one, yeah, and but now she also isn't religious anymore.
Interesting.
Can I guess how you wound up at this church?
How?
So you're invited to some kind of thing with food. They're like, oh yeah, we're just doing this thing with like food at the church. Like we have donuts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, fuck it, I'll go there. And then you're in this fucking worship service all of a sudden. And it's like everyone's sort of like going nuts. And then you walk up to the altar.
I wish I remember who took me. That's a thing. That's now a thing that I'm realizing. I don't remember who took me to church. It was just me being like, I want to go to church. I want to go to church.
Okay.
And I told a friend about it.
Why did you want to go?
I don't know. I just felt like I had to go to church. I remember because that church too was like the good church. That's like the mega church. Like I kind of revered it a little bit because it was like the church that a lot of people went to.
Right. And they're probably cool kids.
They're the cool kids
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
nice kids, you know.
Right.
Church going kids are like the nice ones.
Yeah,
I don't
the building
remember.
was probably beautiful and like it was
Yeah.
like this fancy place.
Yeah,
and,
some of those are like ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that church specifically, and I lived kind of close to it. Like my cousins were kind of religious. Like there was like a lot of religion around me, and I was like, yeah, I want to go to church. Like I feel like I need something. I don't know why, but when I got saved, they were like whoever wants to come up. I was the only one who went up.
What does
Even
that
though
mean, saved exactly?
You accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
and how do you do that? Because I'm just thinking of the In Cold Blood scene.
Where they're like, my
they're-
boy! I've never seen that movie.
Where he's yelling at him. He goes, "Do you accept Jesus Christ?" And you're like screaming at Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, you don't have to scream it, but literally all you have to do is say, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
So you went up and they asked you that.
Yeah,
And-
it was like a nice service, and I was sobbing.
Yeah.
Hysterically.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it was like, so the lore of it is that like Jesus was the lamb that was slain, which was like before you used to have to sacrifice your food.
Yes.
Because you would kill a lamb, or like that's how you made your money, and you're
Right.
like, well, this is how I make my money, but I'm gonna kill it to show you that I love you, and also that like my sins are gone because I'm showing you that I'm sacrificing something for you. And then when Jesus came, he's like, I will die for your sins.
Right.
You don't have to sacrifice your lambs anymore. I will take it.
Sure. Just like the classic song, "Lamb of God,
Yeah.
you take away the sins of the world."
Are you
Yeah.
You're Catholic
Sublime,
too, right?
right?
I'm not
Sublime?
Catholic.
You-
Yeah,
oh, that's right. I remember your church
Lutheran.
experience.
Lutheran.
Sebastian's parents would drop him off at church and just leave.
They would drop him off and leave, and then I take
Isn't that funny? They never went to. They just dropped his
they would
ass
drop
off.
me off, and then they would give me money, and I would go, instead of going to church, I would just take the money and I would go get bacon, egg, and cheese.
You just eat bacon, egg, and cheese for 3 hours? How long?
Sausage, egg, and cheese. No, Lutheran church is 45 minutes. You get it in and out.
45 minutes. Oh my God. Pentecostal, non-denominational. It's like 2 hours of praise and worship where they just sing hallelujah for like 45 minutes and then sing another song after that.
Was this Pentecostal or was it non-denominational?
It was non-denominational. But
Yeah.
I didn't stick at that church. I didn't stay.
Okay.
I got saved and then slowly I would go a little bit and then it was like very soon after my mom got saved and God, I wish I remembered the timeline. I guess it was like 12 years ago. But then we ended up at a church in Kissimmee, actually in Orlando. It was like more it was all so close but like kind of far. Sure. But this church was in Orlando. It was called Fuente de Agua Viva, which is like Fountain of Living Water. And it was a mega church in Puerto Rico. This guy named Otoniel Font, and people hate him. And we really didn't know that. Like you would hear a little bit. But people think he's all about the money. And slowly, when I was in that church, that's a church that I was in for like 2 or 3 years. And then I was like, oh, wait. And I would go to that church every day. I was in choir.
For 2 to 3 hours?
No, like I was in choir. Well, yeah, I guess so. Because I was in choir practice. I was in pantomime and I would dance.
What's pantomime?
Pantomime is like, we paint our faces like pantomime and we...
What is that? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Like mimes, like the face.
Oh, like a mime. Yeah. So, and what does this have to do with...
The expression on Sebastian's face right now is so funny.
He's just like, what?
But what is he so... You were just dumbfounded by pantomime.
But because pantomime is like you pretend to do something.
Yeah, so we would, to a song, we'd like... do like spiritual dancing to it.
It would be like a movement.
Like a movement kind of thing. And I would like raise like the sword of like that.
You'd be telling the story with
the song and like
there's some youth group coordinator like, I don't know, fucking pantomime.
Oh man, I wish it was some youth group coordinator. It was truly like a guy who was like, God, like he was the minister of pantomime. There was like 6 of us in it.
He was the minister of pantomime?
Yeah, he was the minister of pantomime. He was a leader of pantomime.
The spirit has many fruits, one of which is pantomime.
You know what's crazy? Like before a Fight Club practice, it was like maybe the second Fight Club practice ever. And I went to the hot dog place by the training center. Gray's hot dog, Papaya. I went in there and they were there, and it was such a crazy moment.
The pantomime people?
The pantomime people, because it was the husband and the wife were like the leaders.
Get the fuck out of here!
They were there with their 2 daughters.
Did they recognize you?
Of course, they took pictures with me.
Were they pretending to eat hot dogs?
They were miming hot dogs in their mouth.
Their kids were like, "We're fucking hungry."
No, their kids were so tacky. It was like the kid had like like birthday princess on. It was a
birthday.
It was March. It was a what is that holiday with the
St. Patty's Day?
It was St. Patty's Day, and they all had like green.
I got it because she pointed to her head.
They were all wearing like khaki green, and the daughter had like birthday princess on. Like just like they're so gaudy and awful.
Hey, nothing's wrong with being gaudy. Don't you dare.
I guess you're right. There's nothing wrong. It was.
I used to wear shirts with gemstones on.
Oh, me too, baby. Because they were the leaders, so we used to like get shirts made for. They were all like spray painted shirts that we would get made for like every performance, or like the like paint splatter. We had so many paint splatter shirts. So insane. But
so you're there every night. You're rocking out.
Basically, like 5 nights a week, I'm there. And all my friends, because then my friends became those people. Yeah. And that was like my crew. Those were the people I spent weekends with. And it was all church. Like, my life was church.
So how does your life change from Papa Roach to what are we talking about? Where do we go? Music-wise.
Matchbox 20?
It was a lot of like Skillet, which is a Christian band. Right. I liked Skillet a lot.
No more Daddy Yankee though.
No more Daddy Yankee. Not really. I tried really hard to not listen to worldly music, but that's something that's impossible. Because like
I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you scared? Did you think, like, if I listened to Papa Roach that I would go to hell?
It was more because I am a studious person. Like, I'm not, because I fucking dropped out of school. Like, I'm not, like, but when I like something, I really want to know everything about it.
Yeah.
And with church, like, there's people that go to church now that I'm like, oh, and I tell them, I know more about the Bible than they do, because I really studied the Bible. Like, I would bring the Bible to school, I'll read it. Like, I really wanted to learn, and I'd, like, come up with my own sermons. Like, I'd be like, this is what this means. I was very into it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I thought I was going to go to hell. It was that it wasn't feeding my soul. Oh, fuck. I just want to keep saying, like, starting drums. I keep hitting it. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to be swayed from the path. And sometimes worldly music is about fucking and drinking and drugs and shit. And, like, I don't need that. I need things that are just worshiping God.
So
and
you
about
weren't,
my relationship with God.
in terms of fucking and doing drugs and all that stuff, were you scared of that, or were you just like, that's not what I want for myself?
I thought that's not what I wanted for myself. But to this day, I still have fucked up shit with like sex and stuff.
100%. That shit fucks you up.
It fucks you up.
I'm about to go. So I just want to go insane. Like, first of all, I think that there's plenty of people who there's no real emphasis in the New Testament on the idea that, like, the afterlife, that focus is not on the afterlife.
Yeah.
The focus is not on going to heaven and going to hell. It's literally about just, like, living with serenity and peace today, every day. Like, and also there's no real strong biblical argument for the idea that God is going to torture anybody for all eternity. That's just a made up fucking thing. It was made up in the Middle Ages. Like, the church used it to manipulate and control people. There's truly that is not a thing.
Well, didn't the Pope say now that he got rid of hell?
He didn't get rid of it, but it's always been theologically, the idea is that, like, it's when you're apart from God. When you're apart from God, then life sucks. You know what I mean? And like, at any point you can, like, choose whether it's, like, God or just a good thing for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the idea that, like, hell was invented to control people, basically. That concept, you know? I'm sorry, but it's, like, super, it like makes me crazy because it gives, but it's also like, yeah, all you got to do is say, I accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And then you don't have to do fucking anything else, and you can support Donald Trump. And as long as you dress in the same clothes as us and culturally do the same things, it's fine.
You don't listen to world music. You, like, you're modest. You serve your husband's in charge. Like, it's all fucked up shit. It's
control.
It's control. So, like, to this day, like, I still feel guilt, like, and it's hard to turn that off when your whole life, like, sex was bad. It was a bad thing. So sometimes, like, even I'll just, like, feel dirty. Yeah. There's people that I know that are like, I don't know, I can't have sex with my husband. Like, it's really hard. And before we had kids, I could, but now I can't. And it's like, oh, it's because sex was bad forever. And now it's hard to fucking let that go of, like, how having sex is bad and how it's gonna lead you down like damnation. And it's also, like, because the whole thing was, like, the flesh versus the spirit, right? So, like, worldly music was flesh and the spirit was, like, fed by other stuff, and sex is purely flesh.
The spirit is the record companies that we're in partnership with, that if you buy them, you know what I mean? It's, like, fucking purely financially motivated.
Yeah.
Just buy this music. Man.
Was there other crazy rituals besides that Halloween thing that you would take a part of?
Oh man, yeah, like, that was nuts. We would do, I don't think if it was crazy. What like,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't use the word crazy. I should use
there'd be, like,
eccentric.
I didn't know what to say.
Odd, bizarre.
Because it's crazy to me. It's not crazy to other people. So I mean, like, I'm sorry.
There'd be, like, retreats. I think it'd be just retreats where you'd just you'd just be in church for hours, for the whole day, and you just, like, learn about God. And
right.
I was very into it. Like, I was like, this is everything. It's like DCM, but, like, at church, you know?
Yeah. So it's like, it's just basically like a culture. It's so funny that like we're railing against it.
Yeah, because it does help people.
Yeah.
And it does, like, there are great things about it. You wouldn't have been a part of it if it wasn't great. It did feed you, right?
It did feed me, but slowly you start to notice that, like, my voice wasn't as important as men's voice, even though I studied more and I cared about it more. And the fucked up thing.
Do you remember that moment when it happened?
Oh, I can tell you when I was like, this sucks. The pastor's son was a fucking deviant person. And there was like a few moments.
What do you mean deviant?
So he would like hit on teenage girls.
Okay.
And
he's an older man.
He was 24.
Yeah.
So he hit on teenage girls.
No good.
So I remember there was a moment where he was texting my sister, and my sister was like, stop texting me. Was like, no, I don't want to hang out. It's late. Like, don't, like, leave me alone. And very much set it down. And then they kind of were like, oh, she's so serious. She thinks she's better than us. And they, like, really shunned her. And I was like, yeah, I guess she's like that. I don't know. And then I found out that he was fucking a 13-year-old and in the choir. When I was in the choir, and he'd, like, raise her microphone super high. And, like, the way she'd get him to do that was by fucking him. And it was such a weird power dynamic. And I was like, I don't like this. And I still would go to church, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable. There was another 13-year-old girl that he was fucking too. It was, like, just young girls. And, like, we, like, brought it up. And, like, they never told me, but, like, they would tell my, like, the guy who ended up being my best friend. And then we moved to New York together, and we lived together for a few years. But like they told him about it, and he was like, yeah, they have sex, and it was so gross. And I like started fading away from church. Also, like I was doing pantomime, and then I got into like the school play, and I was like, I can't meet until like after this time because I'm in the school play. Like I wanted to be an actor when I grew up, and then I gave up on that, but I still wanted to be an actor. And they were like, this is God stuff, like you have to put God first. And in my head I was like, yeah, but I want to be in plays. Like, I can't be in plays to be in fucking some shitty pantomime stuff.
Yeah.
So you could only be in, like, Christian plays, is the idea?
Well, they just didn't want me to dedicate time if it was going to... If the plays were... The practice went until 6, and then those practice started at 6. I was like, I'll be late, or I can't make it. Or, like, and they were like, no, you need to make sure that you make... They wanted me to put pantomiming first, and I was like, but the play's only like for 2 months.
Right.
Like, I want to just do that. So there was like that kind of stuff. And, then everyone found out that he was fucking her because when her mom found out, she sued him, and he went to jail. And everyone was like, well, she tempted him. Like, she's not so innocent. It was like that. Where it was like, fuck church. And fuck it.
Did the father say anything?
The pastor?
Yeah.
It was all swept under the rug, but everyone kind of knew that everyone was just kind of like, well, she's not too bad, whatever. And so he was in jail for like a year or two, and then he like got out on parole, and they like fucking got a private jet to go pick him up. It was like crazy.
So they're like making a shit ton of money over there.
Yeah, well, it was like the radio. They like have a radio thing, and
multiple churches,
but they weren't making that much. There was a lot of shit that slowly started seeping out. They weren't making enough money for Otoniel Font, because the people were like Raymond Diaz and Nereida Diaz were the ones who were in the Orlando one. But the ones in Puerto Rico were making mad money.
Right.
But they were like telling Raymond, like, you're not making enough money for us or whatever. And there was like a ton of pressure on that.
Right.
Which is crazy. And, like, we needed new cameras. So someone was like, here's $10,000 for a new camera. And they never got a new camera because those people wanted the money. Like, it was just, like, evil shit. It was just, like, a lot of just, like, oh, my God, the fucking... And they all had nice cars, nice houses, like 4-bedroom houses.
The
and it was
leadership.
just the two of them.
The pastor has,
Yeah, and she loved Chanel stuff. Like, the pastor's wife loved Chanel.
That's so earthly.
Yeah.
Classic Jesus and the disciples stuff. It's
Jesus like, rolled up in a Lambo.
They all had, like, infinity.
Drop top, fucking.
Yeah.
It's so fucking insane how they justify that shit. It's so fucking... It's, like,
specific to... Because God blesses them. They work for it, so, like...
It's very specific to American Christianity too. Like, it's like not... That is such an American thing. Like, it's like... It's crazy how much, like, culturally...
I mean, it's also European. When I went to Vatican City,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of just like them hoarding artwork and Vatican City and shit like that. Yeah.
It is like so much shit. It must be billions of dollars in that like little area.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I think it's more than American, probably. I also watched a documentary on a guy, one of these mega churches, and he would travel all around Africa, and he like shows his wealth off to like all these poor communities, but it was like for a different reason. He was showing them like, I was you, and now look at me. You could be me one day, you know. So I think that's a little different. So I don't know why I brought it up.
No, because I said it was specific to American.
Oh,
like,
yes,
absolutely
that's why.
not. It's not. But like for some reason in my head, I don't consider like the Anglican Church or the Catholic Church like.
The Catholic is, you have to see the fucking churches in Staten Island.
No,
I
know.
Disgusting.
No, for sure, it's crazy. I mean, they're taking tons of money too, and they're fucking. Institutions are bad. Institutions are bad.
They're bad. I mean, that guy fucking in Texas that wouldn't let people in the church. What's his name?
I don't know.
There's a big flood in Texas this year. Remember the hurricane?
Oh, yeah.
And God, I used to watch him too. There's this guy with a mega church. It's like a stadium.
Yeah. Was it Joel
Osteen?
Or whatever.
Yeah, he has a mega church, and he would not let people in that church, which is like that's what churches used to be. If you look at the
Sanctuary,
Bible,
open the door for the people in need.
Truly. Okay, I'm just a couple more preaching things throughout the
podcast.
Preach. There's no fucking like literally the whole point of the New Testament, or like what Jesus was saying, is like a building isn't even fucking necessarily, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Literally a building doesn't matter. Is the love your neighbor as yourself, and that's the deal.
Yeah.
That's the only that's the whole of the law.
I have a question about your church. Would you speak in tongues?
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Did you? What was happening? What was really happening at that moment?
You just get so into it.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know when you're crushing at improv and you're like not even thinking?
Do I know?
Yeah.
Bad boy.
Exactly. It's like that times 1,000.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like that times 1,000 where you're just like not even thinking. You're just like so into what you're doing. It's like a meditation, truly.
Yeah.
I went to a Pentecostal church, and like the service there, I like that's why I was like, let me guess, with the donuts and everything. That's what happened to me. But the service there was crazy. Like I was like, you literally are like rocking back and forth because of like the collective unconscious in the room or whatever.
Oh, really?
Or the Holy Spirit, whatever it is.
The collective unconscious.
So the first time you did it, were you like this? I'm forcing this. This isn't really like so. No one's speaking through me, or did it just?
I was like, am I doing this? Am I doing this for real? Like
yes.
it was. Yeah. I never like fully spoken. Not my mom's so ridiculous. Like she'll be like, "All right, God bless this food and the hands who made it." It's just like, why are you speaking in tongues to pray for
Dude,
food?
my fucking mom and my brother Vin fucking would fucking fly into tongues and shit like that. Yeah, in the car. I think one time in the car, I was like, just stop with the fucking tongues.
She's like, all right, God bless Glory Lee. She's about to go on this airplane. Blah blah blah. I'm just like, God damn it! Can we just hang out?
Yeah, it sounds fucking creepy as shit too. At least when my mom, my brother used to do it, I'd be like, this is creepy shit.
Yeah.
You get used to it. Like, yeah, for sure. It's so I have done it. It is a collective unconsciousness, and everyone's doing this thing. Everyone's worshiping. Everyone's like singing hallelujah, and the lights are dim, and everyone's singing together, and it's an emotional experience. Like everyone's crying, and there's like the pastor's like, okay, I want everyone who's feeling this way, who feels rejected, which is like a very human way to feel.
Yeah,
who's feeling rejected right now to come up here. Because I want to give you a word. And then people who are feeling rejected, which is everyone, goes up. And then he's like, you guys, God loves you. And you're not rejected by him because he chose you to be part of him. You are his people. Which is another fucked up thing about Christianity is that we're better than that. Because God chose us to be here and didn't choose those people. Which I hate.
Yeah.
I've always hated that.
Well, that's also not a thing.
That's not a Christian thing.
Fucking made up thing.
Yeah.
I know
they made up
nothing, but it's like, he washed the everyone's feet or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Also, literally, the story of the Good Samaritan is a story about Jesus is a Jew. He's telling the Jews, let me tell you a story. They hated Samaritans. And he's like, let me tell you a story. And then he asked, like, who's the most righteous person in this story?
Samaritans are a bad thing?
There are people that the Jews at the time hated, right?
So being a good Samaritan, I didn't even know Samaritan was a thing.
Yeah, so it was like a cultural or tribe of people that the Jews hated at the time.
Okay.
And he tells a story where the Samaritan is the most righteous person in the story, right? To have them, like, basically to have them start questioning their own prejudice. So it's like that story in and of itself should tell you that the idea that, like, we're in and you're out, it's tribal shit. It's not like it's not like a spiritual thing. It's just fucking tribal.
So then he'd come and he'd be like, okay, now let the Holy Spirit make you feel good, and he'd tap you on the brain, on the forehead or on your stomach, and he's like, feel the spirit, and then people would just like collapse on the floor,
And people would shake and shit?
and shake and collapse and speak in tongues. All that shit.
Did you do it?
Oh yeah, all the time. I never truly let myself fall back, I don't think. But it was just like you'd feel like a whoosh, and you're like, oh wow.
Because I believe that you do feel something if someone's giving you that much.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bullshit. I do think that you feel something.
If they weren't feeling anything, they wouldn't be raking in money.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So it felt good when after all that and you would leave church, you must have felt like exhausted, but in a way like, you know what, if you like work out and you're like, that was hard, but like I feel good now.
Mm-hmm. And especially all the crying. I think crying is
crying.
so great.
Yeah.
You just,
Good,
like,
it's healthy.
after a good cry, you feel so good. I just
You
remember
let
my
go.
heart,
There's
yeah.
tension in your body that you literally let go.
All the shitty stuff that's happened all week, and then someone tells you that God loves you and that you were chosen to be here, and like you're not rejected. I know you feel rejected because of the way you were raised, but it doesn't matter how you're raised because God's now your parent. It's like so wonderful and so lovely that you ignore. Like, I ignored the fact. I would get so mad. I was like, oh, just because she's fucking him, she gets to have a louder microphone than everyone. And it was just like, and I was part of the problem, you know? And then like it took like a lot. Like, I've had a long time to like correcting myself and correcting like what I thought was wrong, or you know, like that,
Right.
because I was so brainwashed by the whole thing that I don't think I can ever, like, so, like, I recently came out as, like, a queer person, and that was the first time I felt close to God in a long time.
Of course.
And it was because it was, like, I was talking to X about it, and X was like, oh, it's because you're being yourself.
Yeah, you're being authentic.
You're being authentic. And I think that's, I don't know, it's just, I can never imagine myself being part of, like, that culture of church and, like, doing all that, but I don't want to be like far away from whatever, like, not religion or like spirituality or like the personal relationship I had with God at one point.
Yeah, because you do feel it. It's significant,
It's
right?
significant. It's like because that's what we would say all the time. It's not religion, it's relationship. It's not religion, it's relationship.
Right.
Religion makes you do the Eucharist, makes you count rosary beads. That's religion.
Follow rules, kind of.
Follow rules.
Yeah.
Relationship is you checking in with God every day.
Right.
And I think there's truth to that. There's truth, like, people that meditate every day. That's you checking in with God.
Yeah.
Every day. That's you checking in with what you need as a person. You know.
Well, it's like also like the idea of like just being your authentic self and
Yeah.
loving your authentic self, like just being like, yeah, this is who I am and I love myself, and like, I mean, that's a very basic human need, like to say like, oh, there is like something that loves me unconditionally, you know, and also being in community, being in a room full of people is like better than being alone, like, you know, like it helps you, but
It's just confusing because they set so many rules and reasons to not love yourself and not love other people.
exactly.
But even though you're bad, even though like you sin, you fucking watch porn and masturbate, you fucking
Not me.
covet.
I never did that, mommy.
People, mommy never. I don't know what porn is. You know, you do all this stuff. God still loves you, and that is like what it is.
But do you know what that is?
It's
that's
emotionally manipulation.
It's fucking
Yes.
manipulation. It's saying like, you need to come here and fucking buy a ticket. You need to come back here and buy a ticket. Keep coming back. Buy a ticket. Because if they said what the gospel says, which is God fucking loves you unconditionally no matter what, and you can... And it doesn't, like, it's good news. Gospel means good news.
Yeah.
It just means God loves you unconditionally no matter what, so try and love other people. But if they told you that's what it was, and also don't have any shame. Don't have any shame. God doesn't look at any of your shame. But if they told people that shit, people wouldn't go to fucking church.
I have a
shame
question.
is such a I hate shame, and I talk to Emily about shame a lot. Shame is something that is fucking like growing up. Seeing by the Wangsa was a thing that I was called a lot, which means no shame. Like you have no shame. You're someone with no shame, and that was bad. And the truth is, I wish I had no shame.
Listen, I mean, I know that I'm fucking talking a lot, but this is like very close to me
Of
because I'm in
course.
12-step. Like I have to cultivate a relationship with a higher power, and like I do consider myself a Christian now, you know, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Where do you what type of church do you go to? Because what you talk, it doesn't sound like church to me.
Well, I don't really go right now. I'm not going to church. I was going to Catholic church for a little while.
Yeah.
I got some baggage right now.
Sure.
That I'm working out, but like I just believe that love your neighbor as yourself.
Great.
And also like another thing that I say I'm a Christian, right? But I also say like I don't know. Because faith also, by the way, means I don't know. Like the idea that these motherfuckers are certain, that's the opposite of faith. Faith means I don't know. And like I heard something one time a dude said in the rooms, he said, the less I know about God, the better. And that's the way I try to like function in terms of my higher power. Like because what the fuck do I know? And also as soon as you start to think you know, that's when all this like institutionalized corruption comes in because you're trying to like control other people because you know. Oh, I know how these other people should be behaving. It's like, you don't know.
That's the problem I have with like liberal elites right now is like it's a shit.
Fucking religion. That's what it is.
That shit. It's like this is the correct thing to do.
Yes.
And and those are the people that fucking screw people of color over, that screw women over because they say the right thing to do and they fucking have their perfect sentences and their curated thoughts and they don't. It's I don't know. It's I don't know. It's not. No, the right thing to do is to allow a woman to do that. That's not true. That's true for you.
Right.
That's not true for all women. You don't know. You have to like. I hate that.
Right. You got to listen to other people's experience to like figure. You know, like what you just said is like one of the reasons that it's really hard for me to be on Twitter is because organized religion irks me like crazy, and liberals right now. Like with all the rule, like this is what you can believe, this is what you, or else we're gonna shame you. Mm-hmm. Like literally, it is a fundamentalist religion.
Yeah,
and it's like we gotta like do better. Like we can't like you can't win a fight against that with that.
And it's truly like I guess there's a lot of mapping to like liberalism and religion, even though they hate religion because it's like if you don't know this, then you're not. Accepted.
You're not worthy.
You're not worthy of like our thing, and we're
gonna shame you. It's the same fucking thing.
And the people that have the loudest voices are the white people or like the people in power. It still maps it because they can talk about how we feel, but we're not allowed to talk about how we feel because they get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And there's times when you're like, there's been fucking people that are the voice. There's just a person that I know that is very rigid and treated me like hot garbage forever, and that's a hypocrisy that I see a lot in. Sure.
And so it reminds
liberalism.
It reminds you of like this sort of fundamentalist church situation.
Yeah. It's awful. It's just like I wish we were like what was so great about like Jesus was that he was like come. And just like Martha, like why are you so? ¿Por qué te afanas tanto? I only know church in Spanish,
yeah.
Sure.
But it's like why are you stressing out? Like why do you want everything to be perfect? Just like relax and like just be here, just sit and that's the thing of like just be here. Like I don't know, like you might not know everything, like and we're learning, and as long as you have an open mind and we're like learning from each other, and like I'll be honest, sometimes I'm like fucking white people don't care because the truth is like you really have to handhold a lot of white people sometimes, and it's like yo fucking educate. You're like you can read a book. I've read books. I wasn't as woke, and I'll say it, I don't give a fuck because I know people get weird about the word woke. I wasn't as woke as I am right now. I fucking have had to really read and learn and watch and listen and hear and I'm still not perfect. I fuck up all the time. And I have thoughts that are like straight up fucked up. And then I'm like, oh my God, I am living in a bias right now and I need to fucking cut that shit out. But people don't want to. They want to be the voice of like feminism or liberalism or whatever they want to be the voice of, and they don't fucking
want to listen.
They don't fucking listen.
They also don't want to be wrong.
And when you call them out on being wrong, they get defensive.
Defensive, yeah.
I remember pitching something for, and I like this can stay in, I don't care. I remember pitching something for Mod, and it was "Educate Yourself," which was a song. And a person on my team was like, I don't think this is right for Mod. And this person's a big voice, like someone who is like, I don't think this belongs on the Mod stage, and like maybe you can do this somewhere else. And I was like, well,
the Mod stage is so fucking funny.
She's like,
this doesn't belong on the Mod stage.
This isn't the right voice for Mod.
Sketch.
Exactly. She's like, this doesn't belong on Mod. Mod's very game heavy, and this isn't game heavy.
Oh,
and I'm like,
off.
but I am on Mod, and this is my voice. And if you're saying that this doesn't belong on Mod, then you're saying I don't belong on Mod. And she got defensive and was like, oh, well, you know me, I'm not like that. And she, like, instead of listening to me, she got defensive and was like, oh my God, no, she's accusing me of being racist, when she was in that moment being racist.
Say I'm sorry.
Just say I'm sorry. Yeah. But instead was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. But truly, I'm like, educate yourself is a thing that like I resonated with. And Jay Mowski on my team also was like, please do this sketch, because there's a lot of stuff about gay culture that people want me to educate them on, and it's not fair. I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, like there's things that they can read, and like
sure, there's 1,000 documentaries.
There's 1,000 documentaries about race, 1,000 documentaries about women. There's so much out there that you can look, and it's like cool. If you have a question, I'll explain it to you. But also, like, are you like if you're a white person out there listening, or if you're just a person that's not something else, which is everyone, like the emotional taxation you put on people that are different than you to explain who they are is like they already have enough going on in a day, and on top of that, they have to sit there and explain to you microaggressions or why it's not okay to touch their hair, when there's so many books, and like Solange has a song about it. Like, listen to Solange's song and then you can see why you can't touch my hair. But like, it's unfair that we have to teach people constantly about it. So I wrote the song about being like, hey, educate yourself on this. I wanted to do a song.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is not right for Mod.
And it was important. It was important to you.
It was so important to me.
Also, I think it's okay for people to make that mistake, and then to be like, oh, I made a mistake
to
now.
Own it.
And that's how you learn from shit. Is to be like, oh, I was wrong here. I'm not going to be wrong again here.
Yeah.
I mean, mistakes to a certain degree. Right? Obviously.
Yeah. Instead, this person talked about a sketch they had previously wrote that was woke.
I wish they were just like, oh, my bad. What do you want? You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it should be. I hope I do that. Like, I hope I do that when people call me out on shit. And please call me out on shit. And I might get defensive in the moment. But you know what? I will think about it.
Yeah.
And I will fucking come to terms with it. You know, like, bring shit up. It's okay to, like, tell people, hey, this made me feel bad. But, like, I've had to come to terms with, like, hell the fuck yes, I have light skin privilege. I am lucky enough that some people think I'm white, which is, like, wild. And every time they tell me, I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, I thought you were Jewish. I'm like, what? No, I'm not. I'm a loud ass Latina. But like, you know, like, and I've had to come to terms with it and be like, no, I am privileged. I have light skin privilege, and like I'm a cis person that's privileged, and there's like a lot that I have, and like we have to be confronted and we have to be okay with it. And like, you know what? If I offend someone, they might hate me forever, and I have to be cool with it. Yeah. I have to know that, you know what?
Being authentic.
I fucked up. I learned. They're going to hate me forever, but hopefully I'll never do that to someone else. But when you get defensive and you say, I'm not like that, I don't do that, there's no progress, and you just keep hurting people over and over and over and over and over again.
It's also preposterous because it's like everybody has fucking bias. Like, it's like we have been raised with bias. Like, we have been raised to like we have to question this shit because it's all cultural. It's all fucking made up.
Yeah.
You know, like, but we've been taught that, you know, I mean, I'm sure, Sebastian, when you grew up, it was like, you know, particularly like with like gay people, for example. Like people were fucking people were shitty about that like all the time. You know what I mean?
It's terrible.
I love how rather than Pat saying for him, he brought me into the combo. And he goes, Sebastian,
I'm sure you fucking trashed gay people when you were a kid.
It was just,
Sebastian, I'm sure you hated gay people.
I didn't hate them. It was at all. Not even. I did musical theater.
Me neither,
it was just like it was just a different. Like I was in a community that just said words that people shouldn't say.
That are fucking offensive.
Yes.
And it was normal.
And thank God I left and I grow and I don't say shit like that like I did as literally a tiny little boy.
So wait, I have a question about that. So like, what if you never left this church? What do you think your life would look like right now?
I'd probably be married. It was truly a track for marriage. It was like True Love Waits, and everyone got married at 18.
Wow.
And 19 or
wait,
whatever.
how old were you when you left?
Florida?
I stopped going to church like around 19. And then I left Florida around 21. But like, so even after I left church, when I was like 20, I would lay in bed at night and be like, the rapture don't happen, the rapture. I was mortified. And I still have that thought.
It's fucking child abuse. You're gonna fucking be tortured for all eternity if you like.
That God's gonna come and just take his people and leave us here to like be tortured until he comes back. And then during that time, it's like the rapture is the freakiest thing. Like we don't even like to get into that. The rapture would at night, like the garbage truck would make a loud noise outside, and I'd wake up and be like the rapture. Like one time, my sister, I like turned around and she like bent over to pick up her keys that she had dropped on the other side of the car, and I was like, oh my God, she got taken. Like it was like quick. It's a quick thing, and I like to this day I still make that joke where I'll be like, oh shit, I thought you got raptured to people. But because it was like a real fear that I had.
What is that from? Is that from like Revelation?
It's from Revelation.
And it says what? Your people are going to disappear.
That's the thing. Like, I've never read Revelations. Every time I started reading, I'm like, this is wild.
I'm sure it doesn't.
It's so hard to interpret.
It's written in apocalyptic. It's like a genre.
Is that old or new?
It's old. It's the last book.
It's a dystopian future
of the Bible, and it's all.
If you're into dystopia, read Apocalypse. In Spanish, it's Apocalypsis.
But yeah, so I don't think it says people are going to disappear in the book of Revelation.
It says that God's going to. Well, I don't know what it says, but the lore is that people say is that God's going to come and take his people and then leave us behind here for 7 years.
Right.
And then he's going to come again to like make a second round.
Right.
And if you fuck up, if you get the barcode or you get the chip installed in your body.
Right. The 666.
The 666 that you get the mark of the beast, then you're screwed.
Sebastian knows about this because he and I watch weird fucking YouTube videos.
Yes. No.
Yeah. Illuminati videos. I for sure have gone down the fucking rabbit hole.
I watched that.
Wait,
I think that's why I don't fuck with Beyonce and Jay-Z that much.
No.
I think internally, I love Beyonce and Jay-Z. They're the fucking best. I love their music, but I cannot worship them like everyone else worships them because when I was like 15 or 14, my cousin showed me an Illuminati video about them, about how like they worship the devil and like
Jay-Z's
how
not
he gets
in the
possessed.
Illuminati.
No.
Oh, I know he's not, but it's still like a little bit in me.
But they used it. They used it when people started accusing them of that shit. They were like, "Oh, we're getting hits," and they used it as a marketing tool, like which whatever. Like they're about making money.
They are about making money,
and I mean that is Illuminati shit. At the end of the day,
At the end of the day, if there is an Illuminati, it's about making money.
Yeah.
Wait, so you said like the things that were eye opening to you were like this pastor's son, right? And then seeing how people were. Just hypocrites with the money.
I remember still trying to get back into church when I lived in Florida, and I used to love that church because my cousin would go to it, and whenever I was in Miami, I'd go to that church and be like, this church is amazing. And they opened up a new one in Orlando, which is one my mom goes to, and I was like, we gotta go, Mom, we gotta go see this church. And when I got there, they called it a satellite church, and what was happening was that they were live streaming what was happening in the Miami church in this church over here.
Wow.
And I was like, oh no. That's a moment where like a glass shattered of like, this guy's an egomaniac.
So what's that room look like? What is the room that you're watching this live feed? What does it look like?
It's a church.
It's just a regular church.
It's a
church
regular
with
church.
a huge screen.
And there's a pastor there. But the pastor in between stuff would be like, okay, he says to do this. And it was like...
The pastor would be like, how about that, folks?
Truly.
Wow.
Truly. It
Filling time.
such an egomaniac. I was like, no. I was like, it was truly when I was like, what have I done? What am I doing? Like that. I think that was the moment where I was like, fuck church.
Because that's super fucking culty. Like, that's the most culty shit in the world. You're all going to a big room and there's like a guy on a TV screen that you're all watching and shit. That's like 1984, right? Like, that's like really controlling
George
crazy shit.
Orwell.
Oh,
Nice.
100%.
Thanks. Nice. I read that freshman year of high school. Staten Island Tech. Where we at?
I just really, like, we have left you out of this conversation, Sebastian. Like,
No,
we're just,
it was
like,
cool.
nerding out.
You were eating fucking egg and cheese sandwiches, dude.
Yeah,
No,
you have like 3 egg and cheese sandwiches.
You want to know something?
Because your parents would...
Sometimes you know when to be loud. Sometimes you know when to listen.
Aw, that's
That
a
is
good
one thing that is true about Sebastian. I think, like, you're like you'll come in at the right time and hit a home run, but sometimes you're gonna hang back.
Yeah, what am I? Because I could learn more. Like, you two have dealt so much with religion in your life in different ways than me, and you know my religious background is like very soft. I'm confused by it, like, and then you talk about like privilege and like and all that topic, and like I have a little ideas, but like I need to listen to those things, you know,
right?
So yeah, I'm a really good person.
Wait, but Glo,
exactly.
I want to know if this brings you conflict, because it was like, for me, I know that I felt something. If you felt like a real authentic internal experience, is it cultural and political shit that's holding you from like trying to pursue spirituality?
Yeah, yes, I think I loved the routine of it, of going to church and like really feeling and like having that catharsis like a few times a week was really, really wonderful. And even performing, like I perform now, and like, you know, when I have a good show like that, it's like, yeah, like that, it's that feeling that like is like, this is what I wanted. But performing at church was like, I would let the Spirit just take me, and I would just like improvise dance or whatever, and people would be like, we love watching you because you let the Spirit take you or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm a very like, I play by the gut. I'm a very like, I do consider myself to be like more of a spiritual person in that realm or whatever.
Right.
So I do think that is what holds me back, is all the backward shit, like the sexism and I think any like group has issues. Like the bigger something gets, the more issues there is in it. Like it's hard to not bastardize a thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like complicated, because even if there is a perfect church that I'm like, yes, I'm into it, there's gonna be some fucked up shit in it, and I feel like I've been traumatized by the church I went to.
Yeah.
That it's hard for me to ever do that again.
Yeah. I think most people have.
Yeah.
Like most adults who have been to therapy in modern times realize that like their concept of God was given to them in a very dysfunctional, toxic way.
Yeah.
I once was in like a study because I got confirmed. I was in this Bible study class, and I was fooling around so much that the pastor threw a Bible
At you?
above my head, but he threw it at the wall right above my head.
Oh my
Holy
god.
shit.
Screaming at the top of his lungs because I'm fucking around. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
But I was so checked out of like religion and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
was not like.
Did you ever get into it at all?
No,
No.
I don't know.
It's probably why you're like pretty happy and healthy person.
I mean, no. I mean, I think that it's stuff that you say. I think it's like finding the moments in your day to make like, oh, that is. Because when someone asks me, they go, "Do you believe in God?" My answer is, "I don't know." And do you think this? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's always my answer because.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that says they know is confused.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
You don't know. It's not falsifiable. You can't know.
And with my therapist, so I say this a lot. I go, oh, that confuses me. And because I realize like I would be overwhelmed or have too many different feelings inside, that I would just go, oh, I don't worry about that right now because I can't sort that out. I'm confused by it.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out piece by piece.
Right.
So I don't know. That shit confuses me.
It's confusing.
I do, yeah, like, being a good girl is like something that I and that validation from like pastors being like, and the thing that I'm weary of at work, right? Because like everyone really cares about my job and they really want it to succeed, and I do too. But I'm always afraid that I'm going to be consumed by it.
Yeah.
Because, like, the COO will come and be like, you're doing such a good job.
Yes.
That I'm like, and I want her validation more and more and more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and even with UCB, I was looking for that validation for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I still want it. And
Of
the thing is
course.
that I got it, so
I still want it.
and I still, but
It's sick in the fucking head.
It's insane.
sick.
It
It's
makes you
insane.
It like it's what I think drove me to like get good at a lot of things. I mean, I'm a creative, but like it's what drives you. But then you realize you're like, oh, this is not authentic. This is not how I'm going to be this is not how I'm going to be good creatively. Is if I'm chasing this shit, like I'm not going to be authentic.
Yeah, and I mean, like with when I did UCB, I think the reason why I was successful in it was because I was like, I'm just gonna be bad for 10 years, and then I'll be okay. Like, because I was like, all these comedians have been doing it for 10 years, all the ones I like,
Sure.
and like I just was able to be free, and I wasn't looking for the validation because I knew I was going to be bad.
Yeah.
But then when I got a little bit of validation, that's when it was like, I need more of it. I need more. And
Absolutely.
it's just a fucking, it's hard because it's also such an insular thing that only we love. And like outside
Nobody
of,
gives a fuck about it.
No,
no
hell
one
no.
gives a fuck about game.
No. But then
I-
my ass is yelling at you.
Yeah. Sebastian yells at me.
I remember
The note Sebastian gives me the most is like, you gotta tag out. Like, as a Glo, every second beat I do, it's like, it's not a super strong game, so you gotta tag out to keep the game going.
I've never said anything like that.
I've gotten that note,
Don't
like,
you get that bad?
I've gotten that note, like, for 2 shows.
Really?
2 or 3 shows where, like, they're like, you guys should have tagged out because that game wasn't that strong. And that's not what
They're
you
playing
say.
like a game like it's like a person scared of paper, so they go, oh, look at this paper. They go, ah! I'm like, great, fucking tag out and just
tag out, get some more paper in there.
all my scenes is just
it's 2-dimensional. They're not philosophy based.
that's me. I'm just a big old goof.
I'm like, just move. I go, move quick before the audiences realizes that they're laughing at nothing.
that's me, baby.
Hey, are you kidding me? That's me.
And that's why every time I'm like Sebastian coaching, I'm like, he's coaching himself right now.
Oh, absolutely. When I'm fucking coaching, I'm like I feel like I like tell people to commit all week, and then I go and do my show, and I like when I leave, I feel like I was like a fucking cartoon character, clown boy.
I know.
It's so funny. I did a scene once where I was like talking to a king, and I was just like, yo, I'm a fucking, this shit is nice. And afterwards, Sebastian was like, yeah, I would have done that.
I can't lie.
All right, Glo, what do you want to plug?
Listen to my podcast. I already spoke about it. It's called Second Best D&D. It's a D&D podcast we play. It's super funny. Even if you don't like play D&D, the story's good. And if you want to come watch me, you can just look on UCB Comedy. There should be like little links. You can go to my like UCB Comedy page. I should have a website.
Thank you, Glo, so much for doing it.
Of course,
thank you.
thank you for we've ranted for so long.
That's okay.
You and I, Glo, I feel like we have a very similar, we just go on similar tirades whenever we're together.
Anytime we're like, hang out, how's everything? Yeah, cool. Anyway, so the patriarchy was doing we just like go so quickly.
Yeah,
It's
we just
wonderful.
Jump down everybody's throat.
Yeah, me too. All right, peace.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Who You Were. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Guest before and after pics on Instagram at Who You Were Podcast. Send your before and after pics to whoyouwerepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at Who You Were Podcast. This podcast is produced independently. If you'd like to support it, please visit patreon.com/Patrick Noth. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.